Hey, 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 black man, wrote a letter to a black man, keep stepping through it. Black man, you make it, you make it, you make it. Black man, you make it, you make it. Promise you can keep it real, dog. Yeah, you can keep it real. Pain is not forever, you can heal, dog. You know, then you will, dog. Oh yeah, you ain't gotta fake it, no. But you ain't gotta treat it like your heart is really vacant. Faking like you don't got no emotions, that don't make sense. I know you trying to get it going and been patient. Using every skill within you, even latent. Doing everything you can do just to make it. Cause you ain't made it, don't forget that yet though. Said you done gave it all to God, what you fret for? Man, even Jesus got some scars, what you scared of? Too busy holding on to stuff should've been let go. See, when you scream into the void, it doesn't echo. But what you speak into existence will surely appear. But see, there ain't no GPS help you move through your fear. You gotta give yourself the drive, put you in the gear. Lack of it ruin your years. Listen to me. Black man, wrote a letter to a black man, keep stepping through it. Black man, you make it.
Sorry about that. Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Letter to a Black Man, the podcast. I am your host, B. Bernardo, and I'm super excited that you decided to join us for this conversation. I'm not alone. Today topic is about mental health. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, and for Black men, we definitely don't talk about our mental health a lot. So I do have my brother, Mr. Rashad Young, that's going to join me in this conversation. So sit back, relax, tune in, let another brother know that we are live and this conversation is about to get real. So I'm going to bring up Mr. Rashad and just allow him to introduce himself. What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on, man? Appreciate that, man. First off, the intro, I was over here jamming the whole time. So I'm trying to thought about dropping a 16, but no, I appreciate you so much for joining, for me, allowing me to join. It's a great opportunity. So a little bit about me, Rashad Young, born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm an author, I'm an educator, and I'm also a counselor in training. So essentially, I'm in taking the next steps to becoming a therapist. And so, really important to me to be in the space of working with mental health, working with African Americans in mental health, but also especially Black men when it comes to that, because representation in the mental health space is relatively low. So for me, I'm relatively a unicorn in this space, man. A Black male therapist essentially is such a hard thing. So I'm really taking a lot of time to be responsible in this role because I understand how important it is for us to open up as men and to have somebody to go to about this. I really take this very serious, man. So thank you again for allowing me to be on.
Absolutely. I'm actually really excited. Just wanted to do a little plug. So the intro is my brother. That's my biological brother. He's an artist, Demetrix. He created that song for me. So I knew, like I'd always want to work with him, but I knew that when I came back and when I relaunched it, I did want to incorporate him. So Demetrix is on the vibe. So I'm definitely appreciative of him. As far as again, thank you so much for just wanting to have the sit down with me so we could talk about mental health. Definitely in the Black man space.
Yeah.
I know I'm a Black man and I have gone to therapy.
Mhm.
And my request when I went to therapy was I wanted a man. Like
Mhm.
I would feel more comfortable having a conversation with a man when it comes to my mental health because they understand. You understand what it's like. You understand like the history. And we were always told what happens in this house, stay in this house.
Mhm.
But having a brother to sit down and kind of just share things that I may not have shared to anyone. That was
Yeah.
definitely the goal for when I did go through therapy. So super excited to have you here. And I'm just gonna go right into it. I told you I
Let's
had an
do it.
icebreaker. I have an icebreaker for you. And it may that's this question that I'm gonna ask years ago. I've always asked this question, and truthfully, I've not gotten an answer. So, brother, Rashad, young Rashad,
I'm scared,
maybe
bro.
you can put an answer to this.
Yeah.
Who encourages the encourager? That's the icebreaker. Who encourages the encourager?
I understand why that question has not been answered. So that's a difficult one. But I think for me, man, I'm always going to start off with my mother first. I mean, my mother is the foundation to uh, who I am as a man. Just how she's loved me and nurtured me during this entire time. Just growing up, just being a young black man. She is the kindest woman that you'll ever meet, but she does not play about me. So even at 30 years old, she can still put the fear of God in me. I would then say my fathers, both my stepfather and my actual father. They both have given me different traits that I feel like it's important to me to be that well-rounded man, the patience, the understanding, but also when there's moments to be stoic and assertive. I won't say aggressive, but assertive to really
Mhm.
instill a sense of confidence in me, both in their ways. And then lastly, I would say my grandmother, again, the nicest woman you'll meet, but will cut you tough with her tongue, and she'll tell it to you how it is. And I think that all those things will give me the foundation as to who I am. Because again, in this space of helping people, where does the help go for help? That's always a very common question. It's
Mhm.
relatively tough to take on the weight of the world, of everybody's problems, and to do it consistently day in and day out. And so when I do have those hard times, I do go to them for different things. But for somebody like me, I definitely need a sense of nurturing and cutthroatness because it helps me stay balanced. Gotta understand this is something that I feel like God has called me to do. And because of that, I understand that I have a lot of weight and responsibility behind that, and I'm meant to do it. And so just using that. So yeah, I would say that hopefully that answers the question for the first time, and those four people for sure.
It definitely did give an answer to that question. And I think oftentimes I still want to inquire that
Yeah.
with other individuals because I want to know who encourages the encourager. And I know it may sound like a crazy question, but um, because we black men, we're oftentimes taught to be strong, be be that protector.
Yeah.
But who encourages him? Who encourages that person that you made to or that you've made be strong? Who encouraged that person that you've made to be a provider? Like who encourages it? And I also think that's just necessarily around the circle of people who you hang with too.
Yeah.
That can be an encouragement, like your atmosphere can be encouraging to the betterment of you, I would definitely say.
Yeah. I also got to add into my brothers, man. I've had close friends for the past maybe 15 and 20 years. And so I've been very
Mhm.
fortunate enough to have people that I can lean on during that as well. And again, those are the same group of people that will praise me when I'm doing well, and they will also get at me when I'm doing wrong. So again, I think that's also important. So yeah, also my close friends, man. I love them as well. Big encouragers.
I would definitely say I have been in a space where my friends and my family have been that encouragement for me as well. My mom, she passed, but she was definitely an encourager. My grandmother, she also passed recently. So she was definitely an encourager. Her thing was always just go out, make sure you put your best foot forward. And then I also thought that I'm a representation of my family.
Yeah.
My stepdad has definitely encouraged me. I know he and I don't talk as often,
Mhm.
but when he does call, he calls and it's like he calls right on time
Yeah.
when I'm at a place where I'm trying to make a decision. He does call, and I think that call is like that call is always needed
Of
because
course.
to have a father figure like my biological father, he wasn't in my life, and I know who he is, and my stepdad has kind of filled the role to be that male that has encouraged me, my brother, my younger brother that's up under me. I'm the one who did the song, as well as his other son. So my family plays a big role. My cousins, my friends, all of them play a big role in who I am at this present moment. So I'm definitely excited for the journey because if you would have asked me that years ago, I probably couldn't have answered it,
Mm,
but now I'm able to answer it. I'm able to answer with confidence. Like it's all about not having fans around you, but just having a group of supportive people who are going to challenge you, ask you questions, and at the end of the day, make sure that your best interest is at hand.
100%. No, I agree with that. That matters. I don't think you need a lot of people. I've never been a person that
No,
really feels like I need a lot of people around me. I think if you have a core group, if they stay tight, they stay solid, they stay true to themselves and help you out, man. I think that's really important. I don't think you need a million people to steer you because they can also steer you in different directions based off of what they think you should do versus how they know you and how they should, represent you a certain way based off of who you are as a person.
absolutely, absolutely. So I'm just gonna have some questions here that I definitely want us to kind of just take a opportunity to elaborate on, expound upon.
Do it.
Um, what's something that you are still learning about your own mental health?
You starting off hot, man. That's a good one. That's a real good one. And it's funny, like when you're helping people, they don't often ask about you because
Mhm,
they're coming to you for help. One thing I'll say I'm learning about my mental health is that it's okay not to have great moments. I'm
mhm,
somebody that has strive to be a perfectionist as long as I can. And I'm also somebody that would consider myself more of a high functioning person. So you have depression, anxiety, right? And there's usually scales within that. High functioning people are often people who wear it well with a mask, essentially, kind of like what this episode is about. Doing things still continuously, but burning on the inside. And so I
mhm,
think the biggest thing I've had to learn is that recognizing one, when I need to take a step back, like what are things that are important to me, self care, all those things. I didn't really care for the word self care when I first got into this industry because I thought it was taboo,
listen.
but it is really important. And so for me, because I do talk to so many people on a regular basis and I am hearing so much and I'm actively listening so much. My version of self care, if it's not working out or playing video games, it's really silence, man. Like sometimes
Mhm,
I don't want to talk because I need that moment to recapture myself and to regroup. Solely because again, the next day I'm doing it again. Because what I used to do is I would do so many different things and I would say yes to everything and I would say yes to talk on the phone and everything else. And I am slowly burning out. And then when I fully burn out, I
mhm,
crash. And everybody's like, what's wrong with him? Like, what happened with him? It's because I was ignoring that voice that was telling me, hey, you need to relax. And especially as men, we do that really well because we have never really given the opportunity to express that we are burnt out and we're tired. And sometimes we have been given the space to do that. But because of the unconscious expectations, the ways that we've been raised growing up, we don't necessarily articulate that in a way that's important. I think going back to the sense of space, a lot of things start when we grow up as kids. And
mhm,
I think it's really hard for us, sometimes as men, especially, to recognize that a lot of things that have happened to us and who we are today started because when we were kids. So when I hear parents sometimes tell their son, especially, to stop crying, what are you crying about? I give you a reason to cry. Those are all creating those unconscious walls. I like to say walls.
mhm.
That when they get older and they're 25 years old, and their wife is looking at them like, "Why won't you open up to me?" Well, my mom was telling me to shut up at 3, and then 4, 5, and 6. And so when you think about those different mental health moments or struggles, a lot of that comes from that. But yeah, essentially for me, I think it's just recognizing when I need help. Um, it's the most important thing in self care.
And listen, again, to piggyback off of that self-care word, self-care, I didn't really know what that was, and I think it didn't hit me until I was an adult, and I'm like,
Mm,
okay, um, I'm the type of person, I love water, so I love going to sit by water.
Yeah.
And my best friend would tell you, how how should I say that? I'm not gonna say I don't like to be around people. I actually like to be around people.
Yeah.
But what my best friend pointed out to me was that I'm around people so that I don't have to deal with myself,
Yeah.
because it allowed me to kind of put the light on everybody else. So when it came to
Hmm.
my situation, I'm like,
Hmm.
"No, I'll figure me out. Don't worry about me. I'll figure me out."
Yeah.
So I would say I'm now in Tennessee, and I think since I've been in Tennessee, there has definitely been some growth in me, and I'm okay by myself. I now know what silencing the noise means. So when I go off by myself and I'm sitting by water, like it's in that moment of stillness, like that I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. I used to feel like I always had to go, 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 go. I used to
Yeah.
hate going to the barber shop because I'm like, I don't want to sit in here 15 hours. Now, by appointment, I'm gonna go to the barber shop and I will sit
Yeah.
and I'll be okay. Like I take in the moment of me not having to do anything.
Yeah.
So I'll go to the barber shop, I will go and get a manicure, pedicure, and I'll just sit and I'll sit with myself. Sometimes I'll sit and I'll put both of my headphones in, not listening to
Mhm.
anything, just kind of
Mhm.
in my thoughts, trying to figure out how can I better show up for one myself, because we have to put
Yeah.
ourselves first. And then if I can't show up for myself, I can't show up for you. But how can I show up for myself? And then be able to give the next person like the me showing up for them.
Right.
So silencing the noise has been one of the most powerful things that I've learned
Yeah.
in this self-care. But I would definitely say with that, when I went to therapy
Mhm.
allowed me to know it was okay to have emotions. It was okay, like my voice mattered, my
Mhm.
opinions mattered, and
Mhm.
put yourself first.
Right.
So that was definitely like the avenue that I went. So you give me a little piece of quiet, I'm probably gonna go to sleep. But when I wake up, I'm okay. I'm
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So what as a black man, what does it mean to truly feel safe in your mind?
You just firing off, man.
I mean, it's mental health. Like, we mm,
Dog, you sound like me when I'm talking to my clients. That's hard. Um, I think the biggest thing is having a space of no judgment. Really,
mhm,
I don't think we don't talk about that enough. The importance of being able to express yourself fully without an immediate response to something that may not land well. So, like for example, and I usually use relationships as my framework because my clients stem from the earliest of 7 to
mhm,
latest to 50, and some are kids, and there's the relationships, there's people that's married, there's moms, there's dads, whatever. But the biggest thing that I always say is, especially like with my clients that are in relationships, especially like my women clients, especially and they're talking about their relationship problems, have you given your man the space to fully share everything without immediate response? And they look at me a little crazy, like, of course I did. When I go down a list of questions, asking them more and more, they realize they don't. And
mhm,
it's not nobody's fault per se, but again, it goes back to the value of men having the space to be open and emotional. We don't give that space as much as we think we do, because a lot of the times, if we express ourselves in a way in this fullness, I don't know if people will actually have the ability to receive what is being said, especially if that person is at fault with that. So it could be a friend, or it could be a family member, or it could be your
mhm,
wife, girlfriend, whatever. A lot of people struggle with the ability to be fully accountable for something. And if we want to take a step back, going back to childhood, staying in a child's place, how many of us actually had the chance to actually express ourselves fully to our parents? We didn't. And it's not a
mhm,
fault of their own, because it's literally just a pass down of what happened to
mhm,
them. Like, I get all that. But again, especially with black boys, this is why a lot of us turn inward. We often see black males, the immediate response to something is anger. It's usually anger or
Hmm.
running away. But that hidden anger could be anxiety, it could be disappointment, it could be a fear of grief. Like it could be anything, a thing of grief. Because again, it's saying, "Hey, I don't feel safe right now. You've not given me the ability to feel safe in sharing something that's important to me." Because we tell people all the time, your emotions matter, they're valid. Until somebody says something to you, then it's not valid anymore. Doesn't matter
Hmm.
anymore. It doesn't hold the same weight. And so I think the biggest thing is that, it's two sides. So I never just say it's just a woman's
Hmm.
fault for these things. Men, we have to hold a space for each other. And so, like you mentioned, like the barbershop, times have changed since COVID, but the barbershop was our therapy at one point. We used to sit there for 3 or 4 hours when they didn't have appointments.
Diabolical.
Your mama drop you off, your dad drop you off. I'll be back in
Listen.
be back in a couple of hours, and you would just listen to them talk. They would just talk all day, and
Hmm.
they're sharing so much. Like that space, that was our thing. And even like like shout out to my barber. I got to throw it in there. Shout out to my barber. Like we talk all the time about everything, because within that 45 minutes into an hour, that is a moment for us to one connect as brothers, but
Hmm.
also a sense of therapy, because we've created that space for each other. Within our friend group, we got to ask ourselves, when we talk to our boys, are they truly receptive to what's being shared? Because sometimes when our boys tell us something, the first thing we tell them is, "Oh, it'd be all right, it'd be cool." And they're out here like pouring their heart, like they're like telling
Hmm.
you everything, and our immediate response is, "Oh, you be all right, toughen up," or it is what it is. It'll pass through. And like, wow, those are like true statements, and like that's fair. That man just try to come to you as vulnerable as he can, and we do it
Hmm.
really bad, especially during breakups. Like that's the worst. God forbid your dog is going through it. We try to immediately like shove them off to
Hmm.
like the next person, instead of coming to him and me saying, "Hey, I understand what you're going through, man. I'm here if you need anything." I asked a group of guys that a couple months ago, "When's the last time you told your brother, somebody close to you, that you're proud of them?" Just because
Hmm.
we don't usually do that. Everything is typically from a performative state. It's like when we're doing something, that's when you'll get that. So similar to the space. The space needs to be created just because. It doesn't need to be created because you're going through something. So people need to
Hmm.
make that conscientious effort to be like, "Hey, this man is coming to me about things. He's telling me that he trusts me. What can I do to receive that?" Like we gotta it's a conscious effort on both sides. But I think again, it starts back when we're young, man. It really does.
Absolutely. And with that, um, you were talking, and it's another question just popped in my head, and it kind of just really was like, how often when you're walking past a brother, when you head to the store, or I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna go back, but no.
Go
How
back.
often when you're walking past a brother and you say, "How are you doing?" Are you willing to sit if in that moment you were the answer? Like this person has been carrying his weight all day, and they're like, "I just want somebody to acknowledge me or notice me or check on me." How
Yeah.
often Not how often, but has there been a time where you stopped and actually, when a person you said, "What you doing today?" in passing, and you just stopped and listened to them? Have you
Yeah.
done that?
I do it all the time, man. I won't say it's like 100% success rate, but
Mhm.
again, I understand the way that I'm carrying because of the journey that I'm on. Like
Mhm.
my design is to help people. Like I have signed up for this. And so how do I allow myself to be in this full state is by genuinely asking people stuff. You'd be very surprised like how taken back people are when it comes to that. I'm like, "No, like, how you actually doing?" Like, "No, like, for real, like, seriously."
Mhm.
And they're like, "Oh, why didn't you?" Because our natural default is to just say that we're fine. I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
genuinely asking, like, "How you doing?" And yeah, some people will share, some people will spill out. I tell anybody that's especially close to me, man, like, if you need to talk, like, you have my phone number. I don't just
Mhm.
say that because I don't like to answer my phone anyways. So if I'm saying that, if I'm saying that, I am genuinely saying, because again, I understand that a lot of us don't have the space to do that. We don't have the
Hmm.
space to go to people. So if I can hear you talk for 30 minutes and that helps you get on through your day or just help strategize something for you, I feel a lot more fulfilled doing that versus allowing you to just go by every day not doing anything and not working on that. So when I do see people, my intention genuinely is to, how you doing, man? Because we don't do that enough. Like when I go to the
Hmm.
gym sometimes, a random person, and I might give him like a weird compliment. Like, he might be pushing 225. I can't live 225, but he's doing it. And I'm like, man, like, I'm trying to get like you. Like, we have to find ways to be
Hmm.
intentional with encouraging each other because everything isn't about ego, bro. Like, it's not about how much money you make at the end of the day. None of that. It's really like, how do we encourage one another to like uplift
Hmm.
each other to become better men? Because at the end of the day, like, we do have a crisis as black men. Like I've said this before in another pod, like we don't hold ourselves to a standard that people hold us to,
Hmm.
uh, in the sense of how can we make each other more better, especially like your closest friends. Like you say, you have a dream. How do I help you become that person? How do we become accountable together? Because again, at the end of the day, I would love to see my brothers do something great, but I'm not
Hmm.
going to allow myself to sit here and like not be a sense of encouragement for them, especially when they're going through those rough times. That's counter. That's not cohesive. That's not really showing up as a person as we say we are. So I guess to go back to the original question, I try to do it when I can. I mainly do it either at the gym or the barbershop. But other
Hmm.
than that, I could probably do it more intentionally other places, but those are usually the main two places I'm probably more receptive to talking than other places. So yeah.
And with that, I can honestly, just gonna be honest, like it's in my thought, like to ask a person how they're doing. Like I'm like, how are you doing? And a part of me is like, I want them to be very transparent, but again, they don't know me, so they may not be really transparent. And then a part of me is
Right.
like, okay, I just came to this store to get one item. I didn't come in
Yeah.
here to, have a conversation or so. But asking that question and just kind of the way that you broke it down, I would definitely say that to me challenged me. Like the question came up in your initial response to the second question I asked, but then
Sure.
it's like now I have to be more intentional about how I show up as well because
Yeah.
we don't take the opportunity to stop and say, how are you doing? I think I do that now with like some of my close, like the people that are in my circle, like how are you doing?
Yeah.
And like you, I've made myself available. Like if you need to talk, I'm always gonna answer my phone. I ain't got to be on the phone, but and however, I
Right.
know if you call me, I want to be
Uh,
a listening ear, and I'm the type of person. And I would even go back to say I started this podcast a couple of years ago, and then I kind of did away with it, started it, did
sure.
away with it, and
Sure.
then my stepdad he told me he was like, "Don't start that podcast up if you're not going to continue on with it because you got the pattern of start, stop, start over, start, stop." But this time I was intentional about, and I think it was the weight of women have so many outlets, and
Yep.
I had not seen men having that outlets or the spaces created to have real conversation. This is a
Yeah.
judge-free zone, so I'm not judging anyone because we all every day are striving to be better humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just creating that space to say, hey, let's have a conversation. You and as I told you, even behind the scenes, like come in, be yourself, like whatever that looks like, be yourself because I don't want you to put on the front because if you are all dressed up and very Poindexter, then it's like I can't take that from you because you in your work element. Like I want you to be relaxed and have a
Yeah.
conversation. And I can say with me coming back this particular time intentional, things have flowed much more easier. I don't look at the numbers. I before I used to look at the numbers, now I don't even look at the numbers because I'm like the biggest thing is those who need to hear will hear, those who need to come will come when
Yeah.
the time is right. So going
I
back now,
want to add on
it's
to that real quick, if you don't
mhm.
mind. Because
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
similar. Like I tell people, like because you're doing podcasts and I have my own podcast as well. Like anything like with creation, you should not focus on the numbers at all. Like
Mhm,
because uh what's most important is the intention and the mission behind it.
mhm,
Because most people, you give them $10 million a day to do something that they want to do, they probably won't have the work ethic to sustain it.
mhm,
And so what's really important to you is it to get to a certain point of money, or is it to get to a point of creating an impact? And so a lot of that's really driven in the ethic of the things that we do and how we go about it on a day-to-day basis. So I commend you for coming back and accepting that challenge, man. Because yeah, at the end of the day, like this can be a little deflating when you like, man, I just had this amazing episode and only
mhm,
two people saw it. And you're like, man,
mhm,
I just put all this time and effort in. Like, man, this is great. And again, it's like as the time goes on and progresses, like you'll be able to document your story and be able to recognize, like, man, like I was here with all these great people and they helped me
mhm,
expand this. 'Cause at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, man. Like I want to see this become a great thing. I'm so tired of podcasts that have no substance. And a lot of our
mhm,
podcasts in the black space, and I'm not trying to be rude, it's just a lot of it isn't rooted in genuine substance. It is rooted
mhm,
in a sense of drama, culture, and ego, and a bunch of people pointing at each other in a sense that's not really healthy and fulfilling. If
mhm,
I see another relationship podcast where people are talking about how men and women aren't good for each other, or how they hate men, or how men hate women,
mhm,
I'm gonna lose my mind because we're now pushing a narrative within our culture because our culture is so influential that we're not building the healthiness that we so
mhm,
uh, truly wants. Like at the end of the day, like I chorus people like we want to be connected, we want these healthy marriages, but the things that
mhm.
we consume and digest are not in alignment with that. So I just had to say that real quick, man. I really do commend you for doing what you're doing. Like seriously, like it's a great platform.
I definitely appreciate it. And I think again, my goal and my intentions, and my motives is just to push it to where Black men have a space. We talk about those subjects, those topics that we oftentimes sweep up under the rug. I know, like the last episode I did was about sexual health.
Yeah.
Us as men are not talking about our sexual
No.
health, going to get tested. All we can list the number of people that we've had sex with, but you know, we ain't doing the work to make sure that things are on the up and up.
Right,
So
right.
definitely being able to have this conversation about mental health is one that is definitely needed. And again, we can only speak from a Black man's perspective. It's so much going on in the world that
Mm,
we have to show up one way, and then we have to go home and try to figure out how to fix ourselves back up because the day has beat us. The Not the
mm,
people, the day has beat us.
for
The
sure.
moment our feet hit the floor, it's like
Yeah.
we're having to wipe the smile off, or not wipe. We have to put the mask of a smile on, and then
Yeah.
deep down we're broken, we're heartbroken, our feelings are shattered, and we don't know how to articulate our feelings. So that is the reasoning of just kind of creating a space where we can have this conversation and it's
Yeah.
unfiltered, undoctored up, and just a safe space.
No, 100%. That's real.
Uh, so I definitely take it back. So at what point growing up did you were you allowed or given the permission to experience feelings?
Lord, hope my mom not watching this.
Mama,
I
please just
Mom, I love you.
don't.
I don't, but see, I'll be honest with you. Like my mom gave me the space to do it. I don't
Mhm,
really think I didn't really have that challenge, I would say per se. Like I didn't have that challenge of not having that space. I think my teenage years when I was a little more combative. I think that's just natural parental ego.
mhm,
But I think for the most part, they have allowed me to express myself because I am relatively emotional. I don't say charged, but I do feel a lot of things. Like I would consider myself a sensitive guy, like a very empathetic, understanding guy. So I won't put all the blame on to them. Yeah, when you're
mhm,
13 or 14, yeah, you want to explain your point, and your mama may not want to hear that. Like that's fine, but no, she very much has given me the space. They all have, in a sense. I think where I guess I started to accept the fact that I could probably didn't happen to my 20s. 'Cause I think a lot of times I was afraid to say things to people just out of fear of just like disappointing them. Um, and kind of similar to like what you just said, like we come to we in house we're one way, like we're one way with people, and then when we go out to the world, we can be another way with people,
Mhm,
because we don't want everybody to see us at our low points. I think
mhm,
I kind of got to a point, man, maybe like a year and a half ago, where I don't I don't really care as much anymore,
mhm,
because to me that's very stressful. It's already stressful to be a man as it is, like just a
mhm,
man in general. But when you add in black man and you add in the certain spaces that you can be in, just because a lot of the unconscious biases that we live with and we experience and the stereotypes and the prejudice sometimes and potentially racism, depending on where you're at, I learned that I'm going to be authentically myself as much as I can be.
mhm.
I don't live to perform anymore, if that makes sense. So I think
Absolutely.
I think like growing up, I used to be very animated. And then I think as life started to show me like it's reality, I didn't become like as animated with things no more. Because I realized like there's more to life than trying to act like I'm happy about everything. Because every day I wake up,
Mhm,
man, I'm not necessarily always happy. I don't hate the world, but like, I
mhm,
may have like a million things in my mind that's just not taking me to a place of happiness. I may just have more gratitude and peace. And I think especially one thing we learn really well, I think as black men, is that we have to remain as stoic as we can, so people cannot see us when when we're down bad. But it's also unhealthy as well. So I try to be honest, man. Like if I'm not in a good space, I tell people now, man. Like, look, this today just may not be the day. Because I don't believe I have to perform to make other people feel comfortable about themselves. Because
mhm,
I always say the person that's usually the happiest and all in your face is usually the one that's cracking on the inside. Because they
mhm,
now have to perform at that level because that's all people know. So if you know somebody that's super funny and joking all the time, the 1 minute he or she's not funny or joking anymore, the first question they ask is, "What's wrong with you?" Like
absolutely.
that's performative. Why I can just be like this and be like, "Man, today just not it." But I don't try to allow it to tail off in other things. And so I try to say that again. I think the space was always given to me. I think I accepted the space of expression. Maybe I probably say 2 years ago, and a lot of it just because of just the things that I've experienced. I think men we learn best through our experiences, through the failures.
Mhm,
Rather it was friendships or relationships. And I would say most of my lessons with self and expression has been through relationships, just recognizing like, how many times people have come to me and tell me to open up and I didn't.
mhm,
I didn't always open up. uh, and accepting the fact of I never gave those people maybe the chance to see if they were receptive. Because by that time, I'm already on 10 because I didn't want to share everything that was bothering me. And so
mhm.
you learn through each progression of experiences, like what you can do better. So now it's like, no, this is how I'm feeling. If you can take it, great. If not, then, somebody else will. So, yeah.
And I would definitely say for me, that I would say the space was given or the space was available back then, but today I can say I didn't know what that looks like or what how to flow in that space.
Yeah.
So myself as well, I would say I've gotten into this space of it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to feel. A couple of years ago, I was about about 2 or 3 years ago, like
Mhm.
when because life has a funny way of making you sit and deal with certain things because
For sure.
again I used to oftentimes sweep a lot of stuff up under the rug and because I
Yeah.
didn't want to deal with it, I didn't want to deal with it in that moment, and then I'll get to it and then you never get to it because I'm so busy.
Right.
But somebody pulled the rug from up under me. So it's like now I started tripping over a lot of the stuff that I swept up under. So that
Yeah.
goes back to me when I sat with myself by water. I started journaling, but again, that wasn't until after I had gone to therapy. I had started journaling. I would go by the water, and I would sit and I would cry, because I didn't want to cry in front of nobody. So I would go and
Of
I would
course.
sit and cry. Um, and I would just talk to myself and I would talk my way out of things. But I think going to therapy that set me up so I knew. what to look for, like what I was looking for, what I was trying to deal with, what I was trying to unmask. So today, being in this particular space, I can comfortably and confidently say, I'm okay, I'm good, because I feel like I've done the work. So, if a person comes up with some nonsense, I'm like, I'm too here to be going through all this. I done did the work. So
Uh,
you're not gonna master reset me to having to go back through all of those turmoils. So
yeah,
okay. Okay. So yeah, like I would say again, within the last couple of years, I definitely did the work to be where I am today.
yeah. It's a progress.
Um,
It's a process.
it
Definitely is
is,
all
it
of it.
is. But then I also, even with that, even with the process, what I learned was even if I take 2 or 3 steps forward and I have a moment where I fall back, nobody has to give me grace because I give myself grace to
Yeah,
mess up or to feel a certain ways or to kind of have a moment. I give myself the grace to experience that, because if you wait on grace for someone else, people casting people to heaven and hell every day. You gonna go to heaven or you gonna go to hell? Let me give my own grace. Let me and let me do my own
true.
work. So
Yeah,
um
true.
um trying to see, because you said I was coming in hot, so I'm definitely trying
Man, you
to
can keep
warm
coming,
it
man.
up.
I'm good now. We good. It's just the first two was like, dang, we came out of nowhere. We good.
What did you witness growing up about how Black men dealt with stress
Oh,
or pain?
no, okay, you still back with it. So that's always tough. I always say that men usually go to 2 or 3 resources. First one's always sex. Sex is usually the first one where men deal with coping. Uh, Second is drugs. Third is third can be anything that's I would consider like escapism. I would say gambling is probably the third one, but sex is probably number one, just because
Hmm.
a lot of times as men we express uh who we are through our sexual conquests, and it's almost like a badge of honor in a sense. And when you really think about it, I think we all have situations and people where we probably shouldn't even went that far, not because they weren't good people, but just
Hmm.
because of the after effect of it. Just wasn't at its purest form. Like, it's as from a biological standpoint, I understand like why we crave it and why it's important to us. I'll never take that
Hmm.
away. I think how it's been utilized growing up, we were pressured to have it at an early age to feel accepted by our peers. So when I think
Hmm.
of young kids in middle school and high school, they're already, I mean, the internet's already crazy. So you're already exposed to a lot. But when
Yes.
young males are often around like their uncles or their cousins or their dads, depending like how vocal they are sharing so much of those things to these young people that it becomes like a way of understanding, like, okay, well, if I do this, like they're gonna look at me like as a young adult, right? So
Hmm.
and kind of maybe similar to what like the last person on the last episode was with. We don't talk about that enough. Like we don't talk about how that affects a lot of us as young men. Because again, I'm going to emphasize like it's important if it's meant with the right person. The problem is that though, like again, we start looking at women as pieces of meat. Essentially, like we're lusting
Hmm.
over women all the time. Like we don't consider all of those steps in regards to connecting with people. And again, when I think of like escapism, especially with a lot of us as people, we're going to try to do something that does not show the most effect on the outside. So outside of sex, the second one I would say is porn. The reason why porn
Hmm.
is usually a big thing is because you cannot tell if somebody's a porn addict. You can't see it. It's not like taking a hardcore drug. It's not like
Hmm.
alcoholism. It's not like doing heroin or something like that. You cannot see that. It is something that can be hidden. A lot of kids, especially again, a lot of young males, are exposed to it at a young age. And so when you
Hmm.
think about emotional suppression, there's a reason why they usually go to that. It's a reason why a lot of us have went to that. I don't feel good about myself, but this area right here for this short amount of time is going to make me feel good. And then afterwards, more than likely, I'm going to feel terrible.
Mhm.
But can't nobody see it though, because again, I can hide this. I can close my door. I can do whatever. Can't nobody see it at all. Um, and so again, it goes. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that we don't have the conversations early enough in a healthy way to help young men, especially, understand like what is the right way. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, I have to point fingers at an older generation of the cycle that comes down. If they're not promoting healthiness, you're going to just teach the next group the same
Mhm.
thing, and that next group is going to teach the next group. Right. So again, I cannot just blame women for that, because a lot
Mhm.
of things that we're learning when it comes to this becomes from acceptance from men. One thing that we always have to remember, especially as men, is that we always want acceptance from our fathers, whether
Mhm.
they're around or not. But if they are around, and if you know the type of quality person that your dad is, or things that you knew that would be like connecting points, you're going to do whatever you can to feel connected to them. And usually, especially if your parents weren't married, you hear about your dad's crazy sex stories. You do.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I hate to say it so bluntly, but it's true though. And then you sit back and think, like, man, like, okay, when I can't wait to tell my dad this when I'm 15.
Mhm.
And then he most likely, because what we will do if we'll put our hand around him and be like, that's my boy. It's accepted.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like that's what I mean by that. Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest thing, man. It's like, is we don't really promote healthiness in a way early for our young men to like really understand themselves. Again, I'm gonna say like sexual discipline is probably the downfall of most men. We don't talk about that enough. People, whole families get destroyed in a matter of moments because of decisions that
Mhm.
men make, usually because of lack of sexual discipline. Again, I understand the need of it because of our biology, but again, it's usually not promoted in a way to tell people we should probably think about that before we do that, bro. Because we don't understand the repercussions. Again, we're passing down broken families and cycles. Young people are
Mhm.
having kids, and they're like, "Well, I didn't want the kid, so why'd you do it?" Because every time you do that, you can possibly have a kid. Like, let's
Mhm.
like if you don't feel like that person is going to be your potential wife or child of the mother of your child, we shouldn't do that. Probably shouldn't even
True.
consider it.
True.
Because we like, man, how that happened? You know how it happened. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get long winded with that, but I think it is something that we don't talk about enough. And then you always got
Mhm.
that one kid that's trying to stay pure because of how he was raised, and he gets bullied into doing it, or he gets pressured. Like, we don't talk
Mhm.
about that. Like, the performative pressure for men is real, because again, if a
Absolutely.
man, like, okay, so last thing I'll say, like, if a man has a situation where he meets somebody and he doesn't do anything, he's often questioned from a sexual standpoint because he did not make an advance, because of, unfortunately,
Mhm.
the toxicity of that's been passed down from other people in their previous experiences. We don't talk about that enough. Like, we don't talk about the self-respect aspect of sex. We don't. So it gets passed down to young boys, and cycle continues.
Definitely. I mean, and I'll just add a little bit of that. Again, my biological father, he wasn't in my life, lived down the street. But I longed for the acceptance from him. But even with me longing for the acceptance for him, because I just wanted you to acknowledge that I was your child. That was that. But
Right.
yeah, hold up. But I just, I wanted to do whatever I could so that you and I can have a conversation, you and I can be in the same space. But then once I saw that that was kind of like a dead end street, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in keeping on trying to get the validation from the one person who really wanted it
Yeah.
from. So which caused us to grow up and experience life in a whole different way. And it is what it is. But it's definitely the acceptance and then the unspoken things for that as well. Like not we don't talk about it. Like you said, we don't talk about it enough. And it kind of has the slave mentality because you have the slave master that would put the black man here to have children with all of them and then sell the dad down the street to the next person and they have children with down there. So I definitely, but we won't go
I
down that
was like,
rabbit
if
hole,
you
but I
want to go down that
definitely
rabbit
feel
hole,
like
man,
it.
that might be another 30 minutes. But I
No,
mean, it's true though. It's very true. It's true.
listen. So, what are some of the masks that you see that black men wear that goes
Uh,
unnoticed?
Unnoticed.
Hmm.
Athletes have a big mask. 'Cause that's all they know. Um, Mask that we don't see. I think it's hard for me because I see it all.
Hmm.
I,
But like, I guess to how you could answer that is like a mask that you see a person. I would like
yeah,
porn. Like
that's a
you
mask.
see that because people have that conversation with you, but they don't. Like you say, if they don't tell you, you don't know that they're
Right.
dealing with it.
Uh, yeah, that's one. Again, I'm always gonna say the person that's usually the loudest or the funniest. That's often a mask. Uh, a man who's a womanizer. That's a mask. Um, that's hiding from. It's usually womanizing men have a deep rooted abandonment issue or mother wound. We don't talk
Hmm.
about that though. Uh,
Whew.
we don't talk about that, and that is again, the athletes are always the biggest one. And I mean, from an athletic standpoint, I mean, I got friends in the league, and they all are well-rounded people. But I think about those. I think about the athletes that, that was their identity. I think about like that
Mhm,
five-star recruit that was coming out of high school, and now they're working a job in insurance, right? But their entire uh, life up to 18, 19 years old, they was told how great they were going to be. They were going to go to the league.
mhm,
Unfortunately, for successful, a lot of black men, it is often driven through sorry, athletics or entertainment. And
mhm,
so when we think about success from that standpoint, we don't talk about that enough. Like the amount of masks that we are wearing is usually performative. Again, the one that works hard. A workaholic is also a big mask too. Like somebody who works 24/7. You're not grinding for that business that much. You're running from yourself. Just call it what it is though. Like it's just the truth.
absolutely.
Like we all have different forms of escapism, but I would say those are
Mhm.
the main ones. I mean, the one who goes out a lot too, like the ones who like to be in the club all the time. That's a
Be
form of
outside.
escapism.
Mhm,
Yeah, the ones who are outside all the time, man. And also I would say those who, and I say this like in a respectful sense though, um, like the self development junkie as well. Like the ones who was like super driven in being self improved. A lot of people got to realize like self improvement is about taking daily steps. But when you're constantly reading something and learning something about yourself, you're not really doing that because a lot of your learning comes from the experience itself. Like it's only so many books you can read. And the
mhm,
reason I say that is because I think about like a lot of young kids, like when they, on TikTok or YouTube and they're watching like these motivational people and they watch it over and over and over and over and over. Like, are you actually applying those things to your life? Probably not. Like some of it's like what you mentioned, like the cycle, like when you start this pod and you stop. It's a lot of people who do the same thing when it comes to like the self development journey, where they do really well when they feel motivated, and then they crash down because they're still struggling with
mhm.
depression. All right, so like there's layers to that. So I would say those are a couple of the masks for sure. Oh, last one's money. I'm sorry, I didn't mention money. Men who hide behind their money, like although they may be doing well, they use the external to kind of deal with their internal wounds as well.
Okay, okay. You unmask all of those. Because again, I think the money one was a big one. Because sometimes it may be looked at as a power move,
Yeah, for sure.
having the money. So th- a mask. So yeah, I ain't gonna even come behind that one. No, not at all. Um, you laid them out. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would definitely say that I've enjoyed the conversation. I feel like there should be a part two, but we'll definitely table that because I feel like we've been on and the conversation was great, but
Yeah.
we definitely have to run this one back
We can. For
for a
sure.
part two.
For
And I
sure.
definitely would like to um have your point of view and then maybe even have someone else that can sit in on the call too so we can kind of
Yeah,
get another perspective. So I definitely want to do that.
for
But I
sure.
do have I want to know what is one thing you can give me one thing and I'll follow behind you. But what is one thing that you want a black man, a brother, a friend to take away from this episode about the mask we wear, mental health behind the smile? What is something you want
I
someone
feel
that's
like there should
listening
be
to take
some
away?
motivational music played in the background as I'm doing this.
No,
Um, one
it's the
takeaway.
visuals.
Yeah, I already got like a reel in my head. I would say, I would say the one thing, man, is just that you're capable of being loved and accepted.
Mhm,
Really, I think a lot of times, again, as you mentioned about the mask that we wear, a lot of it is because we have an inability to feel like that we can be loved, being our true self. A lot of times we're doing things again to appease other people in a way that just isn't it's not true to who we are, and who we are as black men are special. We're unique, we're creative, we're smart, we're intelligent. We have so many things that we can bring into the world, but we also have to believe that within ourselves. I think it is really important that we accept our flaws as well, the things that we have struggled with, the traumas that we face, because it's just different parts of our story. It doesn't have to be our whole defining story. So I
mhm.
would say that, man, we're capable of doing many things because we come from kings, and we are meant to be loved and adored and, and respected.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. What my one takeaway would be is I want black men to know um, they matter. Their mental health matters, their emotions matter, their voice matters. Again, because oftentimes we are taught to kind of just go through and just endure, and then there's no one at the end of the day to build that black man back up or to pour back into him all that he has poured out. So definitely just letting a brother know, like, hey, you're necessary, you're needed, you are important, your voice matters, your mental health matters. So to definitely go out and put yourself first. And I think I've been saying this all day. I gotta put myself first, Lucian. I gotta put myself first. Like I've been saying it jokingly,
That's real though.
but I definitely tell I'll say that in the middle, like even when I'm at work and my boss may say something, I'm like, I gotta put myself first, Lucius. Like I gotta put myself first. But it's only like knowing that black men have to put themselves first, like to let them know that their voice carries weight and their voice carries the answer
Yeah,
to someone's problem, someone's issue. But in order for them to effectively give the answer, they have to one know that they're the one holding the answer.
for sure.
Um, so that would be a takeaway that I would definitely want a brother to know from this episode.
No, that's best. That's well put, man. I think that's real. We do matter at the end of the day.
And then I have another question for you because we're getting ready to wrap up. I definitely enjoyed the conversation, and I feel like it got to be a part two. So just keep your inbox. Don't block me. Don't block me.
I
And I know you won't. I'm really joking.
ain't gonna
Um,
block you, bro. I appreciate it. I look forward to the part two.
but I definitely want to have a part two of the conversation. But I know earlier, and even when you and I was talking before, you shared that you were an author. Those who are listening to this episode, let us know the title of your book. Where
Oh
can
Lord.
they reach out to? Where can they follow you? Where can they connect with you at? You know.
Yeah, social media. I mean, it's my name, Rashad Young. I try to do the username and all that stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna be myself, man. So, my first book was titled "Be Formless." I wrote that at 2018. Both are on Amazon. But "Be Formless" was a book I wrote essentially at 23 years old, fresh out of college. Had a whole bunch of things in my mind. Uh, just kind of put it together. Essentially, a way to understand who we are as human beings and live the life to our fullest. And then my second book, most recent book, is titled "Renew: Finding Yourself Again." For those who may be going through tumultuous times, to really just recognize who they are, why they're here. And at the end of the day, life is finite, and we got to do what we can. And I have another book coming out this
Okay.
year. It's a poetry book titled "See You Soon," and that's a special one to me. So I will send you that information once I come out. I'm putting the finishing touches on it right now. But yeah, those are it. And that's where you can find me, man. My name Rashad Young on everything. Instagram, TikTok, Threads is all my name.
I appreciate that. I'm definitely gonna have to go and get those first two books and wait on the third one to be completed because they are necessary. And then I definitely want to possibly purchase and do a giveaway because I think those books are definitely important. And just kind of how you broke down and you answered a lot of the questions today. I believe again, you, my brother, are necessary in this space to continue to just encourage anyone, younger, older, necessary.
Yeah,
So I really appreciate you taking the time out to sit and have a conversation with me about mental health, the mask we wear, mental health um, behind the smile. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate you, brother, man. Looking,
Do you have any? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have any closing remarks?
uh, closing remarks. I mean, for those who, yeah,
Let me
play
play
some
some
music,
music. I'm
man.
gonna
Let
play
me
some
let me
music.
let me
I'm
end off
joking.
on a high note.
I'm
Let me end
joking.
off on a high note.
I'm joking. I don't have any
No, if
music, but yeah,
if not, it's fine. Again, the main thing I would say is, I mean, if anybody was watching, I appreciate it. I appreciate anybody who's taking time. Again, appreciate you for the platform, man. I think again, anything that we do in this life is rooted in service. And I just think I'm doing God's work at the end of the day. It took me a long route to get here, man. And I gotta give credit to my mom. She always saw me doing the space of mental health and essentially becoming a therapist. So it's just something that's important to me at the end of the day. So I'm grateful for everybody who's joined, and I just see my dad in the comments and my other friends. But no, it's been good. I really appreciate you, man. I was that shy little kid, like you mentioned. So to be in this space doing all that stuff now is different. So I'm just grateful for everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed the holiday weekend.
absolutely. And I definitely appreciate you, and I'll definitely reach out to you soon. Again, I'm just gonna close it out here. Thank you, everyone that had the opportunity to tune in to this conversation of Letter to a Black Man with none other than my brother, my friend. I'm gonna call
No,
you
yeah,
friend
you're
because
my
now we
yeah, my
we
guy.
locked
Yes, sir.
in. My brother, my friend Rashad Young. It was definitely an awesome conversation. Be on the lookout for part two because we definitely have more questions and we want to hear from you. So if you do have some questions that you want answered, don't be afraid to ask us the questions, put them in the comments, and or follow me on Instagram at Letter to a Black Man podcast. I definitely want to hear your feedback. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. And we're out of
Appreciate you.
here. Appreciate you.